Alright folks, take two. First and foremost, thank you everyone for posting comments on the previous video about having these MRBFs mounted on the bus. This is not the best way to protect your DIY system. While having the fuses here would protect anything from a current overrun coming from, say, from an inverter, or even a dead short from this point to ground. If I have a dead short on the individual battery cables, that fuse is not going to do jack for me, because energy takes the path of least resistance. And for the life of me, I do not know why I wasn't even thinking that at the time of the original video. I was actually thinking, if I have a overrun situation, it's not going to occur anywhere but on the inverter. Well, yeah, if I dead short here, I'll have some protection here because these fuses are upstream from the dead short. But if I have a dead short here or here or here or here, I don't have any protection. These fuses are worthless if the short occurs before the fuses. Again, path of least resistance. So that would cook these wires and potentially cause a fire on either one of these fuse wire, or any one of these battery cables coming off the batteries directly. So I'm rewiring this right now, and I'm putting those fuses where they're supposed to be, hence the name MRBFs, marine rated battery fuses. I'm putting the fuses where they're supposed to be, which is on the batteries themselves. This is a great idea. It's nice and neat. It's easy to get to the fuses, but it is not the proper way to protect this system that I am currently building. So, take two. We are going to rewire everything to make it right now. And as before, I'm going to put the inverter onto one of these batteries just to keep the capacitors charged up within the inverter itself, to avoid any need to pre-charge. I have the ability to pre-charge safely, but if I can just use the battery, so to avoid any surges that could result from having the inverter disconnected from the battery source for a period of time. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue disconnecting the wiring. There's one set of cables. Here's number 3, and there's number 3. And here's number 4. So I have the positives disconnected from the batteries now. Now, I'm going to have to, like I did with the negatives, I'm going to have to drill out these cables, because the post or the bolts on this bus is M10 and the lugs are M8, so just like I did with the negatives on the previous video. I'm going to have to draw out the positives in order for me to put these lugs directly onto the bus. So I'll do that here in just a second. But you won't have to wait very long, because that's going to happen like in a split like this. Holes are drilled. Now, of course, on the other end of each of these cables, I already have the MRBF wired into the wire. So all I have to do is connect these to the batteries themselves, which will only take a couple of minutes because everything's already wired up here. Go ahead and get all this tightened down up here, and then we'll start on the other end at the batteries. I know it fits on there. It came off, it goes back on. There we go. Let's get the far right one tightened up first, so I can put the inverter on. Alright, we'll put the inverter on first on this left boat. Nice and quick. So no spark as a result because it was nice and quick. No spark, which means no surge to the capacitors of the inverter. While it was pretty to see those sparks, you know it's not the best for your system. Regardless of if it's a DIY or not, it's not good to spark your system. Not good. Pretty, but not good. Like the fuse block, having the MRBFs on the bus itself. It was pretty, but it's not good. I never said, ladies and gentlemen, that I was a electrical engineer. I never said it. I never disclosed that, because I am not. I'm just someone who does this as a hobby. To protect myself, protect my family, and protect my house in an event of a power outage. This will provide lights. It will provide electricity for the furnace in the wintertime should we lose a power outage. I can run this. I can run my furnace off of this guy. I can run my refrigerator off of it as well, and also my freezer. And of all my appliances, the refrigerator, the freezer, and the furnace in the wintertime is the most essential things I'm concerned of when it comes to having this DIY inverter kit. This 400 amp hour 2000 watt 12 volt inverter system. Alright, that takes care of that. So we're all tight up here on the bus once again. Now we're going to start putting the fuse holders back on the batteries now. And I forgot to hook up one of the batteries, dang it. I forgot to hook up one of the batteries when I moved that inverter over to the bus, so I'm gonna have to pre-charge. I don't know how long it's been, but it could have lost its capacity, so I'm gonna have to pre-charge. That's why I bought this guy right here. It's a 12-volt DC voltage tester that you would buy at any hardware store, any automotive store, that would allow you to check for continuity or check for voltage between a positive and negative potential. Normally you would go from like the negative side of a battery connection to the positive side of a battery connection, but you can also use this in series with a battery connection to charge up the capacitors. So what I can do is I will put this guy, our gear clip, onto this post right here, because that is 12 volts there, or that is one end of this of the circuit there. The other end, I will just touch a battery and the light will come on, and then once the light extinguishes, then I know that the capacitors on the inverter have been topped off once again. Just like that. That, to me, a lot of people recommend using pre-charged resistors and all that, but I like the fact that I have a visual representation of where I stand in regards to potential between a battery, or between a source and a load. So I like that visual representation. Now I know that this inverter in chargers or capacitors are topped off. So let's go ahead and hook up this first battery, and I'll pre-charge it one more time before I actually put the MRBF on permanently. Route this cable around a little bit. One more pre-charge, which shouldn't be anything. See, it was barely lit up there just now. There was still a slight potential between the battery voltage and the what's being sensed on this inverter. I'm going to have to turn this guy around because the fuse is upside down at this point. So I'm going to have to turn this around. So we'll do that really quick, really here. All right. I want to keep it finger tight at the moment because I may need to move the wire around just to clean up the wires layout here on the cart. So I'm just going to finger tie it, but regardless, I'm going to have to pre-charge once again because it's been a few minutes. So I know there's going to be potential difference between the battery and what's currently on the inverter. So pre-charge again, and then now I'll put the fuse on. Like that. And if you recall, on 2 videos ago, I had verified that the top of the battery terminal has full contact. The entire top of the entire surface top of the battery terminal has full contact to every millimeter space on the bottom of the MRBF fuse holder. So that has plenty of surface contact between the battery and the fuse holder. The only thing I wish that these MRBFs had were, instead of having the M10 hose, I wish they had M8s. So as you see here on the battery post to the fuse holder, because of the fact that the hose is an M10 and the bolt is an M8, you got that much slack. You got that much slop going on between the two connection points, but the fuse holder bracket and the battery terminal, top of the battery terminal, are in full contact, so that's what matters. But yeah, I wish I didn't have that slack, that slop going on there. It is what it is, so we make do. Again, I'm just keeping everything finger tight in case I need to move cables around. I guess what I could do to make life a little bit easier, bring the actual fusible link of the fuse, point it towards the outside of the cart so I can actually see the fuse link instead of having it pointing inward. Now it's facing outward. That makes more sense. I need to do the same thing with the other fuse. Change this really quick. So as you can see, the fuse link is not facing outward. Okay, two more. Unfortunately, I'm not a fan about the fuse holder hanging over the edge of the battery, but I guess it'll be alright. I won't be able to see the fuses. I suppose I could turn it 9 degrees inward to protect it, but then I can't see the fuses easily. So I'll try it this way for now, but I may end up turning the fuse holder 9 degrees inward later if my OCD OCD starts kicking in. And then finally the last battery. I have to move the negative around because it's up against a positive. And I guess I could go that route to where it's that oriented that way. Of course, the dust cap won't cover it. Oh, actually, it might. I might be able to do it this way. Let's do it this way. Turn the fuse around so it's pointing outward. Yeah, I think that would work. I think that'll work better. Yep, that works. I think I'll turn this running around as well. Help take up some of that slack off of that cable. turn this inward, facing towards the center of the cart, like I just did the other battery fuse. Turn the fuse around so I can see the fuse link. Straighten it up. OCD's kicking in. Straighten it up. Straighten it up. Here we go. Yeah, I'll have to. I may have to redress that here later. Battery number 3, I guess, or battery number 2 if you're coming from the left. And then the last battery, or the first battery, depending on how you look at it. Much better, much better, much safer. So there we have it. The MRBFs that stands for Marine Rated Battery fuses, where the fuse holder is supposed to be attached to the battery, is now attached to the battery. And as I said earlier, thank you everyone for your comments in regards to why I should be putting these on the batteries and not on the bus, as they are now. But as you can see, they are definitely on the bus, or on the batteries now. Thank you everyone again for your comments, your suggestions, your concerns even. I do appreciate that. And we will see you on the next video. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day.